Hello everyone, welcome to Arpita Sharma classes. I am Arpita Sharma, your educator, and today we are going to study a really important topic from the perspective of GS paper 2 as well as preliminary examination. The topic is the current Sri Lankan crisis, why it's been in news, and why it's a really important and crucial topic when it comes to even the PSIR optional paper. So we are going to study it all in detail. I'll try to decode it as easily and smoothly as possible for you to understand this crisis from the very depth. The Sri Lankan economy currently is facing a very huge crisis. There are problems related to the foreign exchange reserves. They are depleting rapidly and it is becoming very difficult for Sri Lankan government to import essential consumption goods. For example, the medicines, the fuel, food, etc. Currently, Indian government also has given $1 billion line of credit to Sri Lanka. Why? To buy essential commodities like food and medicines. That level of crisis this nation is facing currently. And this problem is because of serious balance of payments issue. This Sri Lankan economic crisis is not just a recent or new crisis. It's the product of the historical corruption, imbalances in the economic structure of Sri Lanka. Now, currently, Sri Lankan government has also asked the IMF, International Monetary Fund, for a line of credit. Line of credit means for loan. So let us study this all in detail. Let's do an in-depth analysis of the Sri Lankan crisis and understand all the important areas where the country is lacking. Now Sri Lanka, it's facing its worst financial crisis and it's even worst since its independence, that was in 19. I have created a handmade note based lecture also for all of you in order to understand in detail about this crisis. Before that, here's a small announcement for all of you. As you all know that prelims is approaching, so Unacademy has created an all India free scholarship test which is UPSC CSE Combat. And it will be right now, it will be held on April 10th, 2022, the coming Sunday at 11 a.m. in the morning. Now this test is basically going to target your prelims preparation, and this Sunday we are going to focus on the previous year questions. So this combat will be PYQ special. There will be 54 questions that you will need to solve in 60 minutes, that is 1 hour के time में आपको 54 questions solve करने होंगे. 10 अप्रैल को 2022 11 AM यानी कि सुबह 11 बजे ये लाइव टेस्ट होगा. It will not be in a recorded format, it will be a live test. And here if you score from rank 1 to 3, you will get 100% scholarship on Unacademy Plus. Rank 4 to 10 will get 75% scholarship. Rank 11 to 50 are going to get 50% scholarship, and rank 51 to 500 will get 25% scholarship. Hurry up, enroll now. You can use code ARPITA10 to enroll in this combat, which is free of cost. You can now watch your strengths and weaknesses through this combat. You can boost your preparation for the upcoming prelims examination 2022 with the help of this combat. Do not miss this combat. It's going to be live 11 a.m. in the morning, April 10, Sunday 2022. The link to join this combat is given below in the description box below this video. Now, as we talk about the Sri Lankan crisis, currently the country is running short of foreign exchange reserves. Let's understand what exactly is the meaning of foreign exchange reserves. अभी currently country में जो foreign exchange reserves है वो काफी कम है. क्या होता है foreign exchange reserve और इससे क्या help होती है ये समझ लेते हैं. So foreign exchange reserves are the assets which are denominated in a foreign currency that are held by the central bank. For example, it can be bank notes, it can be deposits, treasury bills, or any other government securities. And these assets, they serve different purposes. They are most significantly held to ensure that a central government agency has backup funds if their national currency rapidly devalues. मान लीजिए किसी भी country की जो national currency है उसकी value down हो जाती है तो उस केस में foreign exchange reserve का use हो जाता है. ठीक है, backup funds की तरह होता है. So it is a very common practice in countries around the world for their central bank. For example, in India the central bank is RBI. So it's very common practice for the central bank in a nation to hold a significant amount of reserve in their foreign exchange. Okay, and most of these reserves, they are held in the US dollar, because US dollar is the most traded currency in the world. Okay, this point you have to remember about the foreign exchange reserves. So currently Sri Lanka is running short of the foreign exchange reserves. Why? Because of which, because of the crisis, and because of this reason they are unable to import the essential commodities. Foreign exchange reserve के through आप बाहर की country से trade करते हो. Through the foreign exchange reserves or the foreign currencies, you can trade with foreign nations, right? But because their foreign exchange reserve is so low that they are unable to trade or unable to import the essential commodities like medicines, like food, like fuel. And it was currently news that they are also running short of the printing papers. जो printing के लिए papers use होते हैं ना, तो वो भी कम हो रहे हैं country में. That is why the Sri Lankan government has cancelled. It has cancelled the school exams because papers की कमी हो रही है वहाँ पर, which has negatively impacted so many students. So all of this will be mentioned in my handmade notes, so don't worry about it. I'll be uploading it on my Telegram channel, Simplifying UPSC with Ease. That will be uploaded on it, and the link is given below in the description box. Okay. Now because of this issue, what happened that the Sri Lankan government has approached the International Monetary Fund. तो Sri Lankan government किसके पास गई है? International Monetary Fund के पास गई है. Why? For bailout. Bailout क्या होता है? Now what exactly is bailout? Let us understand that. Now bailout means when you ask for financial help in order to save a country's economy from collapsing. जब आप लोन मांगने जाते हो अपने बिजनेस को या अपने इकोनॉमी को कोलैप्स होने से बचाने के लिए, उसको bailout कहते हैं. So Sri Lankan government has approached IMF for the bailout, for loan, and Sri Lankan government is in discussion with IMF on deferring the loan repayments. So what is deferring loan repayments? देखो यहाँ पर everything is mentioned. Sri Lankan government is in discussion with the IMF on deferring the loan repayment. So what exactly is deferring loan repayments? It's an agreement between the lender and the borrower. जो दे रहा है, lend कर रहा है, और जो पैसे ले रहा है, borrow कर रहा है. It's an agreement between two wherein the lender, borrower will request the lender to give them loan, and loan will be repaid when the situation becomes better. ऐसा नहीं कि loan लिया और 1 महीने में repay कर देंगे, नहीं. लोन लेते वक्त बोरोवर बोलता है मैं तब लोन रीपे करूंगा जब सिचुएशन बेटर हो जाएगी, मेरी आर्थिक कंडीशन ठीक हो जाएगी, तब मैं आपको लोन रीपे बैक कर दूंगा. And here in this case, IMF knows that Sri Lanka is not going to repay the back very soon. It's not going to repay the loan back very soon. So that is why that is known as the deferring loan repayment. Sri Lankan government is very clear in the starting only that we are going to pay back the loan, but at a suitable time when our condition will become comparatively better. Okay, that is the deferring payment. And India also has extended help by giving $1 billion line of credit to Sri Lanka. Why? To buy the essential commodities of food and fuel. Fuel तो right now बहुत ही ज़्यादा essential है वहाँ के लिए, food essential है, and medicines. Okay, and Sri Lanka has also accumulated a very huge pile of public debt, that is 110% of its GDP. Inflation rate तो 2008 से ही वहाँ का high है. पाकिस्तान में भी same case चल रहा है, पाकिस्तान में भी inflation rate काफी high है, and it is also facing the economic crisis right now. Okay, तो अगर कंट्री की जो करेंसी है वो डेप्रिशिएट होती है ना डॉलर्स से कंपैरिजन में, तो मतलब उनका इंपोर्ट करने का खर्चा जो है वो बढ़ जाता है. तो अभी करेंटली श्रीलंकन रुपीज 276.93 विच इज इक्विवेलेंट टू $1. सो दैट इज अ ह्यूज devaluation which Sri Lankan rupee is facing right now. Plus Sri Lankan government, the nation is also facing a 5-hour electricity blackout. ठीक है, why? Because fuel की कमी हो गई है ना. The thermal generators, they are running out of fuel, so there are electricity blackouts also which the country is facing right now. ठीक है, plus foreign worker remittance भी reduce हो रहा है, tourism sector भी impact हुआ है since COVID. All of these things are impacting Sri Lankan government and the nation a lot, that too deeply. Okay, plus वहाँ पर corruption है in government. ठीक है, there is huge corruption in government and it could be seen since the time period of Mahinda Rajapaksa. ओके, दैट इज आप सोच सकते हो 2005 से, जब से श्रीलंकन फ्रीडम पार्टी, दैट इज महिंदा राजपक्सा बिलोंग्स टू द श्रीलंकन फ्रीडम पार्टी, व्हेन ही केम इनटू द अथॉरिटी, तब से करप्शन हैज बीन पाइलिंग अप, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट आल्सो द कंट्री इज फेसिंग राइट now, because of the ill promises, the weak promises that the government was giving out to the citizens. Now, whenever any country is import dependent, right now Sri Lanka is import dependent. That means export is less and import is more. This situation can disrupt country's balance of trade. As I told you initially only, यहाँ पर मैंने आपको initially बताया था ना, there is a balance of payment problem that is happening. Why? Because export is less and import is very high. Country is import dependent. So there should be an equilibrium between the import and export. When we talk about GDP's formula also, you can see it is GDP equals consumer spending plus investment plus government spending plus export minus import. This is known as net export. When export is huge and import is less, that is surplus. When import is huge and export is less, तो माइनस में फिगर आ जाता है, that is deficit. एंड डेफिसिट सिचुएशन बहुत ज्यादा खराब होती है अगर वो हाई हो, ठीक है. सो डेफिसिट ऑलवेज शुड बी लो. ऐसा नहीं है कि किसी कंट्री में डेफिसिट सिचुएशन आती ही नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है. कंट्रीज में डेफिसिट की सिचुएशन आती है, पर एक बैलेंस बनाकर चलना चाहिए हर नेशन को, ठीक है. पॉइंट क्लियर हो गया. प्लस हियर इन श्रीलंका केस पब्लिक डेट इज 110% ऑफ जीडीपी. सो देयर कैन बी टू सिचुएशंस राइट नाउ. श्रीलंकन गवर्नमेंट में दो सिचुएशंस फेस कर रही है अभी. एक है पैसा बोरो करने वाली सिचुएशन कि भैया डेट इज सो हाई इन कंपैरिजन विद इवन द जीडीपी, तो मनी तो बोरो करना पड़ेगा. एंड सेकंड सिचुएशन कैन बी दैट इवन इफ दे बोरो मनी दे माइट डिफॉल्ट बिकॉज सिचुएशन इज नॉट इजी, ठीक है. इवन वॉट एवर मनी इंडिया हैज गिवन एज क्रेडिट टू श्रीलंका इज वेरी लो, ठीक है, इन कंपैरिजन टू देयर नीड्स. दैट इज व्हाई दे हैव अप्रोच्ड इवन IMF. Okay, so Sri Lankan government has two options currently. Either they can restructure their debt, and secondly they need to approach IMF for a relief package. But here also they will face certain problems. Why? Because IMF comes with conditions. IMF भी ना लोन देने से पहले conditions put up करता है. IMF does not give loan very easily. There are certain conditions that you need to accept when you take, when you approach IMF for loan. For example, as we all know that IMF is controlled by the Western countries. So IMF first condition will be it will take collateral. मतलब आपको कुछ सामान गिरवी रखना पड़ेगा IMF के पास. Secondly, it will interfere in the government functioning. इन द नेम ऑफ पॉलिसी रिफॉर्म. गवर्नमेंट की पूरी फंक्शनिंग में लोन तो दे देता है, बट गवर्नमेंट की पूरी फंक्शनिंग में ये इंटरफेयर करता है, फिर सारे डिसीजन मेकिंग में इंटरफेयर करता है. इट विल गिव डायरेक्शंस फॉर चेंजिंग योर इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज ऑल्सो. ये श्रीलंकन गवर्नमेंट को डायरेक्शन भी देगा, ऑर्डर भी देगा कि भाई अपनी पॉलिसीज इस तरीके से चेंज करो, ठीक है, इस तरीके से ट्वीक करो. सो दैट इज द इशू दैट श्रीलंकन गवर्नमेंट विल फेस व्हेन इट कम्स टू टेकिंग लोन फ्रॉम IMF. Another reason why this country is facing the economic crisis is ban on the chemical fertilizers, because they were pushing their agriculture sector towards organic farming. तो 2021 में क्या हुआ? All fertilizer imports were completely banned, and it was declared that Sri Lanka would become a 100% ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग नेशन ओवरनाइट, ठीक है. तो ये जो अचानक का शिफ्ट था ना, इससे फूड प्रोडक्शन पे क्या हुआ? असर पड़ा. फूड प्रोडक्शन डिक्लाइन एंड द फूड माफिया दे स्टेप्ड इन एंड द फूड प्राइसेस इंक्रीज्ड. फूड प्राइस इंक्रीज होने लगा, प्रोडक्शन कम होने लगा, इससे इन्फ्लेशन करंटली बढ़ गया, इकोनॉमिक इमरजेंसी आ गई बिकॉज फूड प्राइसेस वर राइजिंग. सो देयर हैड टू बी एन इकोनॉमिक इमरजेंसी इन प्लेस टू कंटेन दोस प्राइसेस, ठीक है. करेंसी डेप्रिशिएटेड, फूड के प्राइस बढ़ने लगा, करेंसी डेप्रिशिएट होने लगी और फॉरेक्स रिजर्व भी डिप्लीट होने लगे. So this is also the reason. See, these all ill promises and weak strategies, they are also the reason why currently this nation is suffering so much economically. So what are the reasons for the current crisis? External debt increased since 2010, banning of chemical fertilizers in 2021, decrease in forest reserves because of dependency on import, decline in tourism due to COVID, and corruption in the government are the basic reasons why this country is facing such a huge crisis right now. This was the summary of the entire Sri Lankan crisis that I gave you. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. हमने 15 मिनट में पूरे श्रीलंकन क्राइसिस को समराइज कर लिया.